Sevoi Mizmor David Baruchai Mipnei Avshalom Benoi Rabbi Maimim Lenafshi Einishu Saloi Velim Selo Koili Ladino Yakro Vayaneni Miar Koshoy Selo Lo Ira Merivoiso Masher Loisoviv Shasuloi Adino Yeshu Alamcho V'Chosecho Selo Amatzach B'Gino Yis Mizmor L'David B'nei Yish Admeh B'Chavedi L'Chlimot Tavun Rik Tevakshu Chazov Selo Rugzu Ve'al Tochto Yimru B'Lavchem Al Mishkavchem Edoimu Selo Rabbi Moimim Yareinu Toiv Naso Aleinu Orpanecho Adinoi Shalom Yachto Veshkivo Vishon Ki Ato Adinoi Levado Levet Achto Shiveni Just a little press for time this morning because we're going to be going to New York. I'm going to have Rabbi Blum just say a couple words. But before Rabbi Blum says a couple words, I just figured it would be appropriate, covered Ames. Everyone that's in this room knows that Margie was someone that, living the life that she lived, Nebuch not being able to have kids, having come to America many years ago. I think that everyone in this room can learn a lesson from the Mace, going through the Holocaust. Many times visiting her, she would always say in a very calm way that tzuris were my best friends. Tzuris were my best friends. All I had was tzuris, but it's my best friend. And it's remarkable to have always been around someone. It's a Musar Haskell for everybody in this room. We all go through nisyonos in life. Everyone has challenges. But to be able to live the life going through the Holocaust, A, B, not being able to have any kids, Nebuch, and to always have a shmeichel on your face, to always have a smile on your face, and to just really embrace what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave her. Husband was nifter over 35-something years ago. And to go through the Holocaust also and live the life of Yiddishkeit, to live the life of wanting to have Yiddishkeit, always looking down. I just remember being at visiting her all the times that I have, and she would always look at Montefiore Menorah Park, whatever Moshe's kingdom she was at, she would be mad because she would just say that I'm in a Jewish place and it doesn't feel like there's any Jews over here except for me. And the most recent one of recent time is that 2 years ago, I think it was, in Sukkot, when she wasn't well and she had to leave Stone Gardens, and she had to go to Menorah Park for Sukkot. she was very, very, very specific that she wants to be in the sukkah. She doesn't want to eat not being in the sukkah. And they put her in the sukkah, and she joked about it afterwards, and she says, would you believe it? They put me in the sukkah, and then the nurse left me in the sukkah. I was the only one in the sukkah by myself. And they forgot that she was there. She had to take the cane and hit the window of the sukkah to get their attention so they can take her out. And she says she wouldn't trade being left in the sukkah for anything, because that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu would want her to do. And I just feel that for myself, for my kids, for my own children, and for anyone that ever came into her existence, she may never have had kids, and she says that she understood that she never had kids, but she felt that everyone that came to visit her was a child of her own, and she really, really appreciated that. And I think that the most important thing that we, as the people that went to visit her, as the people that were here in Cleveland, as the people that gave her chiyas and we gave her life, she said many, many times, she was very, very, very appreciative that her husband was a Baal Menagin. Her husband, was the one that davened for the Yomud, Kairain for many years, the Young Israel for many years. And she just embraced it. She just loved Shira, she loved singing, she loved whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave her, she loved. And I think that the biggest Musar Haskell that we, as people in the community, can take from her quality, from the personality that she had, and from who she was, is that no matter what it is that a person goes through in life, we all think that we have a pekel, we all think that we have something that we have to have and take from the Rebbeinu Shalom, but you can look at that person, at this person, at the Niftaris as an example. No children, going through the Holocaust, Tzuris is my best friends and everything else, and still, she was still happy in her life with what the Rebbeinu Shalom gave her. And to live a life, of 94 years old, and to live with that every single day, truly is a Musar Haskell, certainly to myself included, but I believe to everyone else in this room. And like I said, we all were zeiche to visit her many, many times, and to see the smile on her face and the hadras panim that she had. There wasn't a time that we went to visit her and she would just say, let's stop talking, just sing, sing. All she wanted was to hear shiras v'sishpachos from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Anytime we sang to her, she always said that we were a shliach from Hashem, that we were able to make her happy and be mesameach her. And on behalf of everyone here, we should ask Mechila from the Neftaris on anything that we may have done. Perhaps we didn't visit enough, perhaps we didn't go enough, perhaps we maybe didn't give covet to her as much as we should have. She should be meichel all of us. She should be meichel all of us. And the Mitzvah Hashem be lamavas l'netzach u'mach Hashem tima melkul panim.
Altif kule meis b'choy bochoy lahoylech. We have had in the last few years tragedies of young people who have departed from us. And everybody feels the tzar when a young person who still had a long life in front of them departs this world. But when an older person departs, so he or she lived a long life already. The Apostle sagt verkehrt. Versteht sich, when a young person leaves, is a tremendous tzar. But when an older person leaves, the tzar is no smaller. Is not smaller. When you leave an older person, is something the miriten lonu tumurosai. We're living in a time when those people who brought over the Yerushasa over into these shores is finishing. She was yet from the few Yechidos who brought over to the Western Hemisphere the Yerushasa overs. And she really brought it over. She carried in herself that Yerusha from day to day. The Meshiras Nefesh that she experienced in the Alter Heim. The warmth Ben Odom lamokem u ben Odom lachaveiroi. Many people are mekayim mitzvahs, nachas v'shalom to criticize, but by many it's mechanical. They're medagdik b'mitzvahs. But it's a mechanical zach, it's mitzvahs hanoshim elumodo. The ones who bring over the Yerushas Oves, it's not libon balimon. It's with a gewaltiger Lev. It's with a heart. It's with a gefühl. It's with a Warmkeit. It's with a love to mitzvahs. A love of Ben Odom lamokem and a love Ben Odom lachaveiroi. The enjoyment of mitzvahs. That's why already, which was mentioned here, she loved Negine. She and the virtue all of Asholem. In the house of the Weinbergers, there was a tremendous feeling and practice of helping others, assisting others, feeling for other situation. The Ben Odom lachaveiro was gewaldig. She didn't use the wealth she had for her own luxury, for her own expenses, and it's so much practice in today's time. But she took her wealth and she built moisdes, she built mekoimes hatoyre, yeshivas. The Sefer Torah she donated, which is the most expensive mitzvah that we could be mekayim, even though she was not mechuyev in ksiv Sefer Torah. But she loved it. She did all these mitzvahs that she's not mechuyev. We just now mentioned, yeah, she was Moiseh Nefesh, was Sukkah. Sukkah is a mitzvah, woman is not mechuyev. But that didn't make a difference for her. She had to be mekayim. Her whole life was dveikes, an attachment to mitzvahs and to the Ribono Shel Olam. And this is something we're losing in our doyer. When we lost her, she's one of the last ones from the Alte Doyer. She was Marich Yomim Veshonim. Chazal tell us a man is Marich Yomim because he's Magdim u'machshech lebei medroshe. She was also in her ways, the way a woman is Mekayim, to the greatest Madrege. She was Messiah Sefer Tilim very often. That was her life. It says, during this parsha of Yosef HaTzadik, the next few parshas, Yosef HaTzadik, when Yosef HaTzadik was born, so Yaakov felt it's the time to go back to Yitzchak. Now I have the ammunition against Esav. Why was Yosef the ammunition against Esav? Because Esav was outstanding, as we all know, in the midst of Kibud Avaim. Yosef HaTzadik, in a few ways, he was Mekayim Gevaldik, the midst of Kibud Avaim. So Hasidim even says he was Moiseh Nefesh when he went to his brother. But the greatest way, the highest madrega of Kibud Av that he was Mekayim Yosef was Niraloit Mozdukne Sheloviv. He came to Mitzrayim, a different country, a country with different anhoges, far from his parents, far from the Derech Oves, and instilled, he brought over. That's why Simcha Elokim K'Ephraim V'Chem Menashe. Why do we bench our children like Ephraim and Menashe? Because Yosef brought over the Yerushas Oves when he was all alone, all by himself, into Mitzrayim, and he raised children in such a country. That's the biggest Kibud Avoim. If you follow the Darkei Oves, if you mechaber the Oves when the parents are not there, that's a higher madrige of Kibud Av than if you mekayim Kibud Av in their presence. Because you follow the Yerusha. You follow what they will mechanech you in. That's the greatest Kibud Av you could be mekayim. And she was mekayim this mitzvah of kibbud av to the greatest madrege. She constantly mentioned the tzidkes, the mesiras nefesh of her parents. Even when she saw other people, the choshev's the mitzvah that was given to women is tznius. When women are mekayim the mitzvah of tznius, then they reach the highest madreges. Chazal tell us, because of tznius, women are zoiche to bonim koyanim gedolim, the Gemara says, to the greatest madreges. And she was mekayim this mitzvah of tznius to the highest madrege, to the extent when she saw even others who are neglecting the mitzvah of tznius, she reminded them of the Yerushas Ha'oves, because she lived with the Yerushas Ha'oves. And she criticized them, is this what your parents were moise nefesh in the Alter Heim? You should conduct yourself this way. She lived with the Mesiras Nefesh of her parents. She lived with the Anhoge of parents constantly. It's mamish. When such a person, even though she was older, because she was older, and because she brought over the Yerusha from Alten Doir, and because she continued the Hanhoge, and because she was mezares others with the Yerusha Sa'oves, therefore the loss is much, much greater. And we should learn from her that the younger generation, we should also continue the warmth, the Mesiras Nefesh of our ancestors, the Mesiras Nefesh of the Friedige Doyer, the Mesiras Nefesh of the European Yidden. And I want to take advantage that I have to ask you, Mechile, I for sure was not Mekayim enough to be Mechabed you, and to Chazek you. Should be a Melitz Yosher for the Doyer. We need such a Melitz Yosher. When the Doyer is in so many trouble, in so many tzores. And we should be Zoiche Bekorev to Bila Amoves Lo Netzach Umocha Hashem Elokim Dimo Me'al Kol Von.
Few remarks, more of a biographical nature in a sense, about Margie, of Shalom, Malka Bas Reb Mordechai, Olav Shalom. She was the daughter of Reb Mordechai and Fegelea Berkowitz, Eishes Rabbi Yisachar Dov, Berchud, as we all know him. She was born in Czechoslovakia in 1924. She went through the horrors of the Holocaust. She lost her entire family. And in one of the matanos she gave, it mentions that she found out that her parents were killed on Erev Shabbos on May 26, 1944. She apparently described herself as a teenage survivor of the Holocaust. After the war, she went to Sweden, and she organized a group of apparently some 25 young ladies to come to America to start life anew. She met Berchu, and they got married in Cleveland. Margie was a very generous supporter of many tzedakahs and institutions, and these include Telz Yeshiva, Hebrew Academy of Cleveland. Apparently she endowed a classroom in the boys' division on Taylor Road. She gave to Yeshiva Derech HaTorah, Master Zaratora. She gave it to Bikur Cholim of Cleveland, to Matan B'Seisa. She donated an ambulance to Magen David Adom. And as the Rav said, in 1990, she commissioned the writing and donated a Sefer Torah to a shul in Sanhedria Murchevet, in Yerushalayim, in Kiryat Me'or Chaim, and this was done in memory of Berch, who was nifter in 1987. She was very, very generous to her relatives and friends, and gave very generously to the family. In terms of characteristics, she was a very unique and special personality. I mentioned her charitable nature, and in Eshes Chayil, one of the psukim is Pia Pasra v'Chachma v'Saras Chesed al L'Shoina. So one of the Perushim I saw there on that pasuk says about that pasuk, Ki chol davarei b'haskel b'das v'Saras Chesed al L'Shoina. Everything she said was with knowledge, insight, and cleverness and intelligence, and the Saras Chesed was constantly on her coming out of her mouth. This, in a sense, epitomized everything she was. She was a very clever lady, very intelligent lady. She was in touch with the current events, and she had strong opinions of it, and you knew that she was very much aware of what was going around. In terms of her relationship with her parents, the Rav said she was tremendously aware of her family she'd lost. And I think we all remember, whenever she mentioned her parents' name, she was always Gottselig, my Gottseliger parents. What does Gottselig mean? Never quite knew what it meant. Looked up in the dictionary, and I have 2 Yiddish dictionaries. Neither of them mention what Gottselig means. But it means blessed by the Ravina Shalom. When she referred to her parents, every time it was like Gottselig, her parents used to say this or that. So that's the essence of the kibbud of aim that she carried with her continuously. She was a very frum lady. I was informed that until very recently she used to fast on Mondays and Thursdays until she was no longer able to do that. I don't think we knew about that. She had a very upbeat personality, and she had a very ready smile, and she had an easy giggle, an easy chuckle when you spoke to her. She was fluent in many languages, in Yiddish, in Slovak, in English, in German, in Swedish, and Hungarian. She was a wonderful balabasta, as we all know. Her house was immaculately clean. She was a wonderful cook, and she was adept in every aspect of housekeeping. She was a very sociable person. She enjoyed meeting new people, and people were naturally drawn to her, and by her warm and magnetic personality. When she and Berkowitz used to go to, they used to love going, I think, to Florida for Pesach, and they made many friends in doing so. And after, I think, Berkowitz was nifta, she went to Eretz Yisrael for Pesach whenever she was able to do that. Purim. We all remember Purim with Margie. She had loads of visitors to her home on Warrendale in South Euclid. All day long, she was like a queen holding court. And she received homage from her subjects, an endless stream of visitors. And Derech Agav, she was also very deftly managing the quote-unquote recycling Mishloach Manos. I think we all know that we'd come in, she'd had loads of Mishloach Manos on the table, and she'd say, she'd say, here, you take this kuchen. I don't need it. I'm not going to eat it. And she would all leave with the Mishloach Manos that we thought we were dropping off, and in fact we received from her instead. She was very supportive of her husband, of Berchu, who we knew very well. And they had a very successful business, Empire Envelope and Paper. And it was a successful business. And she and Margie helped him in keeping the books and keeping very precise and excellent details of everything that went on. And they were very successful in that business. I once went to soon after I arrived, I went to see Berchu in the warehouse one day, before Yom HaNoroim, and I heard he was practicing Nusach for Yom HaNoroim. So he made a date, and he closed the warehouse early, and we went through the Nusach of Yom HaNoroim, the Keil Arich Din, and all these showed me all the knetches and the way to do it. And we all remember that when Berchu davened, and I remember him davening at Avos Yisrael, as a Baal Shachris, it was an unforgettable nusach that he had, and he'd lean against the brettel and he'd cry his eyes out. There's much to say about Margie, but I think what we remember most is this upbeat and as the Rav and as Eli said, this tremendous affability that she had, tremendous emunah that she had after all that she went through. Got Seloib and everything was she thanked Rebbeinu Shalom for everything that was that she was able to thank for, and she lived through. I think just time is short, and there are thanks to be given, and I think we all acknowledge that members of the family were very, very close and to Margie and visited very often, and Eli and Tamar in particular, I think, were outstanding in that fashion. we have to express hakaras hatov to the caregivers, and in particular, I think everybody must acknowledge the wonderful care and dedication of Mrs. Stacey Winters, who was with her for the last few years. She was a companion. She gave her expert care, and she saved her life. 2 or 3 years ago, we went. Margie wasn't feeling well. We had an impression, and there was an impression that where she was at was preparing for the end. But Mrs. Winters came in, and she said, nothing doing. She needs this, she needs that. She got into hospital, make sure she had the proper daughters, and she mamish really brought her back from what could have been a very serious situation. So we have tremendous hakaras hatov to Mrs. Winters, and of course to the Winters family, because she spent so much time with Margie, and it must have been difficult on her husband, Dr. Winters, and the family. So we're very grateful and appreciative of all that she did for her, and we can't express enough words our appreciation of that. For ourselves, likewise, we have to be mevakes slicha mechila, that we weren't as attentive to her as we not perhaps as we should have been, but she was in good hands, and we have to be, as I said, mevakes slicha mechila for things, aspects that we were lacking in, and she should go to the Kisar Kover and be a militza yosha for Klal Yisrael as a family. And there's much more to say, but time is short, so Yehi Zichra Baruch Hu, Sei Nishmas Zerur B'Tzar Chaim.
Emol Rachamim Sheichem Bamroim Mametzei Minuchon Nechona Kanfei Ashchino Malois Kedoshim Utoirim Kezarakia Masirim Es Nishmois Es Nishmas Malka Bas Miriam Malka Bas Mordechai Shal Chol Le'lamo Bavu Shemishbachto Yutu tzedakah b'li neder b'adas karet nishmaso b'gan Eden tihei menuchaso ilachein b'alo rachamim yashtir b'seisuk nefog li'olamim v'yitzro rachayim es nishmaso Adino yunacholoso v'sanuach b'shalom al mishkavo v'noimar amen.